The message arrived on a Tuesday. At first, the radio astronomers at the Allen Array in New Mexico thought it was an equipment malfunction. The signal pattern was too regular, too deliberate to be natural. After 3 days of verification, the truth became undeniable. Humanity had received its first confirmed communication from an extraterrestrial intelligence. Olivia Martinez was enjoying her morning coffee in her Washington, D.C. apartment when her secure phone buzzed. As the State Department's top crisis negotiator with experience in 6 languages, she had been awakened by similar calls before, usually for hostage situations or deteriorating diplomatic relations. This call was different. Ms. Martinez, this is General Harris. I need you at Andrews Air Force Base in 2 hours. Pack for several days. Details upon arrival. This is Priority Level Alpha. The line went dead before she could ask questions. Olivia stared at her phone, the half-empty coffee growing cold beside her. 4 hours later, she sat in a windowless conference room surrounded by military brass, scientists, and government officials. The room fell silent as the president entered. "Thank you all for coming on such short notice," he said, his face grave. "What I'm about to share is classified at the highest level." He nodded to a woman in a lab coat who activated a screen displaying a series of mathematical sequences. "6 days ago, we received this. It's not coming from Earth." The scientist explained how the message had been decoded to reveal basic mathematical principles, followed by a rudimentary language primer, and finally, an invitation. The Galactic Council requested a human representative attend their assembly. Olivia listened intently as debate erupted around her. Some argued it was a hoax or a trap. Others insisted this was humanity's greatest opportunity. Throughout the heated discussion, she remained silent, analyzing the implications. "Ms. Martinez," the president finally said, "you've been unusually quiet." Olivia straightened in her chair. "I'm thinking about what they expect from us. This council clearly has far superior technology if they can detect and communicate with us across light years. Yet they've chosen diplomatic contact rather than simply arriving. That suggests either respect or caution. Which do you think it is?" asked the Secretary of Defense. "Impossible to know without more information," Olivia replied. "But their approach follows diplomatic protocols we would understand. That's deliberate. They're speaking our language, figuratively and perhaps literally." The president nodded slowly. "That's why you're here. We need someone who understands the nuances of communication across profound cultural differences." 3 weeks of intensive preparation followed. Governments worldwide argued over representation, but eventually agreed on Olivia as humanity's voice with a small support team. Alan Wright, a brilliant xenobiologist, would assess biological threats and opportunities. Denise Powell, former Navy SEAL turned diplomatic security specialist, would protect them. The rendezvous point was set for low Earth orbit. As their shuttle approached the alien vessel, Olivia gazed out the viewport at the sleek, iridescent craft that dwarfed anything humans had built. "It's beautiful," she whispered. "And terrifying," added Alan, his voice tight. Their shuttle docked with a gentle bump. Olivia took a deep breath as the airlock cycled. "Remember," she told her team, "we represent not just America, but all of Earth. Everything we do sets the precedent for humanity's place among the stars." The inner door slid open, revealing a tall, slender being with opalescent skin and 4 arms. It bowed slightly. "I am Krell of the Viridian Collective," it said in perfect English. "On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome Earth to the greater community. Please follow me." There is much to discuss before we reach the assembly. Olivia stepped forward, making history with each footfall as the first human to board an alien spacecraft on official diplomatic business. Humanity's journey to the stars had begun. The alien vessel accelerated beyond anything Olivia had experienced. Earth quickly shrank to a blue marble, then a speck, then vanished completely. The stars outside the viewing portal didn't streak by as in science fiction films. Instead, The fabric of space itself seemed to fold around them. "We travel through what your scientists theorize as wormholes," Krell explained, noticing Olivia's fascination with the window. "The journey to the Council Station would take your species generations using conventional propulsion." Alan Wright couldn't tear himself away from the ship's observation deck. His scientific curiosity had overcome his initial fear, and now he documented everything with childlike wonder. "The whole material," he muttered, running his hand along a wall that seemed to pulse with light. "It's almost alive." Denise Powell was less impressed. The security specialist kept one hand near her hip, where her sidearm would normally be. The Council had forbidden human weapons aboard, which only heightened her vigilance. "I don't like that they know so much about us while we know nothing about them," she whispered to Olivia during a meal break. "Have you noticed how Krell avoids certain topics?" Olivia nodded. After 3 days aboard, patterns were emerging. Their Viridian guide was forthcoming about technological and cultural details, but deflected questions about council politics or Earth's future role. That evening, Krell invited them to what he called a data session in the ship's central chamber. The room darkened, and suddenly they stood in a holographic display of the galaxy. "The Galactic Council consists of 27 species across this region," Krell said, highlighting numerous star systems with a wave of his upper arms. "The Arcturians, Malorians, and Zenith Collective hold the most influence." The hologram shifted to show alien species. Some resembled Earth creatures, others defied description. Olivia studied each carefully, noting physical characteristics that might indicate evolutionary paths and cultural priorities. "And where do the Viridians, like yourself, stand in this hierarchy?" Olivia asked. Krell's skin rippled slightly, what she had come to recognize as discomfort. "We are facilitators. We maintain relations between species." He quickly changed the subject. "Humans will be the 28th species to join council discussions." "As full members," Denise pressed. "That will be determined at the assembly." Later, in their private quarters, the human team compared notes. "We're not getting the full picture," Alan said, pacing. "I've been analyzing the technical specifications they shared. Earth is at least 3 centuries behind most council species." Olivia spread out her digital notes. "I've been studying council protocols. New species typically start as observers, not full members. But observer status has limitations on sovereignty rights." Denise leaned forward. "Military implications?" "Uncertain. But from what Krell let slip, disputes between council members have occasionally turned violent, despite their diplomatic framework." On the 6th day, Krell announced they were approaching their destination. The humans gathered at the viewports as the ship exited the spatial fold. Before them hung the Council Station, a massive structure orbiting a distant neutron star. The station resembled a gleaming metal flower with unfurled petals, each section housing different atmospheric conditions for the various member species. "My God," breathed Alan, "it must be the size of Manhattan." Olivia felt a chill despite the regulated temperature. The station represented knowledge, diversity, and advancement beyond human imagination, but also overwhelming power. Earth's entire space program could fit in one of its docking bays. As their ship approached, hundreds of vessels of varying designs moved in coordinated patterns around the station. It was like watching a perfectly choreographed dance of giants. "We arrive at an auspicious time," Krell said. "A full assembly has been called to discuss the Earth question." "The Earth question?" Olivia asked. Krell's eyes, iridescent and multifaceted, fixed on hers. "Yes, the question of what to do about your planet." The docking procedure took nearly an hour. Olivia watched as robotic arms guided their vessel into a massive bay alongside dozens of other ships. Each craft was unique, some sleek and predatory, others bulbous and organic, reflecting the diversity of their creators. "The assembly chamber adapts to the biological needs of all attendees," Krell explained as they disembarked. "Your section will maintain Earth normal gravity, pressure, and atmosphere. They passed through a series of decontamination fields that tingled against Olivia's skin. Beyond waited an enormous circular hallway bustling with alien life. Creatures of every conceivable form moved with purpose, some floating, others crawling, many walking on various numbers of limbs. "Stay close," Krell advised. The station hosts over 40,000 residents and currently 2,000 additional delegates. Ellen gasped at each new species, whispering scientific observations into his recorder. Denise kept her eyes moving, assessing potential threats despite being surrounded by entities whose capabilities she couldn't begin to understand. A group of tall, crystalline beings glided past, their translucent bodies refracting light. One paused, leaning down to examine Olivia with faceted eyes. "So these are the humans," it said, its voice like wind chimes. "Smaller than expected." "And more fragile-looking," added another, touching Olivia's hair without permission. Krell intervened politely. "The Earth delegation requires preparation time before the assembly. Council etiquette applies to all species, Milordans." The crystalline beings withdrew with what seemed like amusement, their bodies tinkling softly as they moved away. Their quarters were modest but comfortable. Through the viewport, the neutron star pulsed rhythmically, bathing the station in waves of blue light. "The assembly begins in 3 hours," Krell informed them. "I will return to escort you. Review the materials on proper protocol." After Krell left, Denise immediately swept the room for surveillance. "Clear," she announced finally. "At least of anything I can detect." Olivia studied the provided information on her tablet. According to this, Earth has been classified as a Tier 7 emerging civilization. We're considered pre-interstellar, technologically immature. Immature? Alan frowned. "We've split the atom, sequenced our genome, and developed artificial intelligence. By their standards, we're practically in the Stone Age," Olivia replied. "And it gets worse. Tier 7 civilizations are only granted observer status. We can watch the proceedings but can't vote or introduce motions." When Krell returned, he led them through a labyrinth of corridors to the assembly chamber. The room was vast, a perfect amphitheater with thousands of seats arranged in concentric rings. Above, a transparent dome revealed the star-filled expanse of space. "Earth sits here." Krell indicated a small section near the back. "The inner rings are for founding species and high-tier civilizations." As they took their seats, Olivia noted the hierarchical arrangement. The most powerful species occupied the center, with influence visibly diminishing toward the outer rings. Earth's position couldn't have been clearer. They were an afterthought. A resonant tone silenced the chamber. At the central podium rose a massive being with metallic skin and multiple appendages. "I, Supreme Counselor Vex of the Arcturian Dominion, call this assembly to order," it announced, its voice translated simultaneously into all languages. "Today we address the Earth question." Holograms appeared throughout the chamber, showing detailed maps of Earth, its resources, population centers, and military capabilities. "The Sol system contains valuable resources and an ideal strategic position," continued Vex. "The planet itself hosts remarkable biodiversity and mineral wealth. The human species shows potential but requires guidance." A different alien, serpentine with feathered crests, took the podium. "The Zenith Collective proposes Earth be designated a development zone. We will establish educational outposts to accelerate human advancement under proper supervision." Olivia's stomach tightened as she realized what was happening. This wasn't a diplomatic welcome. It was a planning session for Earth's future, with humans as mere observers to decisions about their own planet. When she attempted to speak, Krell placed a restraining hand on her arm. "Observer status prohibits unsolicited input," he whispered. "You must be recognized to address the assembly." As the council calmly discussed human destiny without human input, Olivia exchanged grim looks with her team. They hadn't come to join a galactic community. They had come to witness an annexation. The assembly continued for hours. Olivia watched with growing concern as species after species rose to discuss Earth's potential contributions to the galactic economy. "The humans have barely touched their ocean floors," declared a gelatinous being from the fourth ring. "Our mining techniques could extract rare minerals without their notice. Their genetic diversity is remarkable," added a mantis-like alien. "Sampling should begin immediately for the galactic database." Not once did anyone ask what humans might want or need. Earth was being parceled out like unclaimed territory. During a brief recess, Olivia pulled her team aside. "This isn't a diplomatic mission," she whispered. "We're here to be informed of decisions already made." Ellen nodded grimly. "I've been listening to side conversations my translator picks up. They're discussing us like we're an interesting science project. Or a resource to exploit," Denise added. "Did you notice the Arcturians' interest in our military capabilities?" They weren't concerned. They were assessing potential resistance. Krell approached, his opalescent skin shifting through worried colors. "You seem troubled, Earth delegates." "Troubled." Olivia kept her voice level. "Your council is planning our future without our input. We expected diplomatic relations, not colonization plans." Krell's four arms made a complex gesture. "The Council provides guidance to developing worlds. This is standard procedure." "What happened to the last Tier 7 civilization that received your guidance?" Denise asked pointedly. Krell's skin darkened. "The Tellurians adapted well to Council oversight." "And where are they now?" pressed Olivia. "They were eventually integrated into the Arcturian systems, meaning they lost their independence," Olivia translated. Before Krell could respond, a melodic tone announced the assembly's resumption. They returned to their seats as a blue-skinned delegate took the central podium. "The Malorian Ascendancy proposes establishing peacekeeping outposts in Earth's orbit," the alien announced, "for the protection of this developing world." Olivia tensed. Peacekeeping outposts meant military installations. "Earth has shown concerning signs of internal conflict," continued the Malorian. "Nuclear weapons, climate deterioration, resource competition. Without intervention, they may destroy themselves before reaching their potential." Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. The Arcturian representative countered. "The Dominion believes a more direct approach is needed. Humans require structure. We propose establishing administrative centers in key population areas." Olivia's heart pounded. They were debating between orbital control or direct occupation of Earth. When she tried to stand, Krell firmly pulled her down. "Protocol must be followed," he hissed. "You haven't been recognized." "This is our planet they're discussing," Olivia whispered fiercely. "Rules of procedure apply to all," Krell insisted. As the debate continued, Alan disappeared briefly, returning with a portable device. "I borrowed this from our quarters," he whispered. "It's accessing the station's information network." While pretending to review council documents, Alan quietly showed Olivia and Denise what he found. "Look at these historical records. Every Tier 7 civilization in the last 800 years has been guided by council members. None retained independence." Denise pointed to another file. "These are deployment plans. They're not just discussing possibilities, they're preparing for implementation." Olivia felt cold dread settle in her stomach. This wasn't a negotiation. It was the final stage of a process Earth hadn't known was happening. The Supreme Counselor's voice cut through her thoughts. "We will now present the Earth delegation with the Council's decision." All eyes turned toward the human section. The vast chamber fell silent as Vex's metallic form loomed over the podium. "Earth representatives," the Arcturian intoned, "the Galactic Council has determined that your world requires guidance for proper development. You will accept Council oversight or face isolation from interstellar community and resources. You have 1 solar day to consider this offer." The way Vex emphasized offer made clear it wasn't one. Olivia rose slowly to her feet, ignoring Krell's attempt to stop her. "Earth requests formal speaking time before the assembly," she called out, her voice surprisingly steady. Vex's metallic features shifted in what might have been amusement. "The human delegate is recognized," the Supreme Counselor announced. "You may address the Council for 3 standard minutes." As a courtesy, Olivia nodded politely as she sat down. "Thank you, Supreme Counselor. Earth will present our response tomorrow." The assembly adjourned shortly after, with many delegates casting curious glances at the humans. Some seemed amused, others dismissive. None appeared concerned. Back in their quarters, Denise exploded. "They're giving us 1 day to accept domination. This is insane. We need to contact Earth immediately," Alan said, pacing nervously. "The governments need to prepare for possible hostile action." Olivia remained calm, her diplomatic training taking over. "First, we need more information. Krell, may I ask you something privately?" The Viridian hesitated, then nodded. Once alone, Olivia spoke softly. "Your people, the Viridians. You're called facilitators, but I notice you have no voice in council decisions. Why?" Krell's skin rippled with complex emotions. "We were once like you. Tier 7. The council came with promises of advancement. And now? Now we serve. We translate. We guide newcomers through the system." His voice lowered. "Some species adapt differently to council oversight than others." "Thank you for your honesty," Olivia said, touching his arm gently. "That's all I needed to know." After Krell left, Olivia turned to her team. "We have work to do. Alan, I need everything you can find on council history and founding principles. Denise, study their security protocols and enforcement mechanisms." "What are you planning?" Alan asked. "I'm going to give a speech," Olivia replied with grim determination. "But first I need ammunition." They worked through the station's night cycle. Alan discovered ancient council records, including their original charter. Denise identified weaknesses in their procedural rules. "Look at this," Alan said excitedly around what would have been 3 a.m. on Earth. "The Council's founding document emphasizes self-determination for all sentient species. It specifically prohibits forced oversight. But that's directly contradicted by what they're doing to us," Denise noted. "Exactly," Olivia said, eyes gleaming. "And I found something else. According to their own classification system, a species capable of detecting and responding to interstellar communications qualifies for Tier 5 status automatically. So we're being deliberately misclassified," Alan concluded. "But why?" asked Denise. "What makes Earth so special?" Their answer came when Olivia accessed resource surveys of the solar system. "Water," she whispered. "Earth has more accessible water than most habitable planets. And look at these biodiversity metrics. We're off the charts." "We're not being guided," Denise realized. "We're being harvested." As the station's artificial day began, they received a transmission from Earth. Government leaders had debated through the night and reached a consensus. "Accept their terms," the Secretary General instructed via secure channel. "Buy time for Earth to prepare. We can't risk immediate conflict with their technology level." Olivia stared at the message for a long moment, then closed the communication. "We're not doing that," she announced. "You're disobeying direct orders?" Denise asked, shocked. "I'm interpreting them creatively," Olivia replied. "They want time. I'll get it, but not by surrendering." She spent the next hours refining her approach, studying council procedures, and preparing for every contingency. What if they simply remove us from the chamber? Alan worried. "They won't," Olivia said confidently. "Their own rules prevent silencing a recognized speaker without cause." When Krell arrived to escort them to the assembly, he seemed nervous. "The council expects your acceptance," he warned. "Defiance is unprecedented." Olivia smiled reassuringly. "I understand council protocols perfectly now, Krell. Thank you for your guidance." As they entered the vast chamber, Olivia felt strangely calm. Thousands of alien eyes tracked their movement. At the center, Supreme Counselor Vex waited with what appeared to be bored confidence. "The Earth delegation is recognized," Vex announced as Olivia approached the speaking platform. You may present your response to the Council's generous offer. Olivia took a deep breath as she surveyed the assembly. The most powerful beings in the galaxy watched with mild curiosity, expecting submission. They had no idea what was coming. Olivia Martinez stood at the podium, acutely aware of the thousands of alien eyes fixed upon her. The assembly chamber stretched before her like a vast ocean of diverse life forms, all waiting for Earth's inevitable capitulation. Esteemed members of the Galactic Council, she began, her voice clear and steady. On behalf of Earth, I thank you for the opportunity to address this assembly. Several delegates nodded appreciatively at her apparent deference. The Supreme Councilor's metallic features remained impassive. Humanity is young among the stars, Olivia continued. We have much to learn from your collective wisdom and experience. She paused, allowing the translation systems to catch up. Which is why I have spent the night studying your most sacred document, the Galactic Charter. A subtle shift rippled through the chamber. This was not the expected opening. It is truly inspiring, Olivia said warmly, particularly Article 1, which states, all sentient species possess the inherent right to self-determination. No member shall impose governance upon another without explicit consent. The Arcturian Supreme Councilor shifted uncomfortably. The human delegate misunderstands. I quote directly from your founding document. Olivia interrupted politely but firmly. Passed by unanimous vote 4,392 standard years ago. The same document that established the tier classification system which you have applied to Earth. She tapped her console, and holographic projections appeared throughout the chamber showing the relevant texts. According to Classification Protocol 7b, any species capable of detecting, decoding, and responding to interstellar communications automatically qualifies for Tier 5 status. Earth has done precisely that. Murmurs spread through the assembly. A Malorian representative rose to object, but Olivia pressed on. Further, I note that Article 17 prohibits resource extraction from any world without fair compensation negotiated with the sovereign species. Yet yesterday I heard detailed plans for mining our oceans without our notice. The chamber grew more restless. Some delegates were checking their own records, others conferring urgently with neighbors. But perhaps most curious, Olivia said, her voice dropping slightly, compelling everyone to listen closer, is the unusual interest in our world. The geological survey data shows 26 planets with similar mineral compositions within this sector alone. Yet Earth is deemed uniquely valuable. She looked directly at the Arcturian delegation, perhaps because of our water. The rarest naturally occurring liquid in the galaxy, according to your own scientific journals. The Supreme Councilor's metallic skin flushed darker. This is irrelevant. The human delegate exceeds her allocated time. Point of order. Olivia countered immediately. Council Procedure 342 grants a responding delegation time proportional to the significance of the matter. Since you're discussing the future governance of our entire planet, I believe I'm well within my rights. Several delegates from middle-tier species nodded in agreement. The rules were being followed. Humanity has observed that the Galactic Council presents itself as a unified body, Olivia continued. Yet our analysis reveals three dominant factions with competing interests. The Arcturians desire our water. The Malorians covet our biodiversity. The Zenith Collective seeks our strategic position. Now the chamber erupted in shocked conversations. No one had ever spoken so bluntly about the power dynamics that everyone knew but never acknowledged. What's most troubling, Olivia pressed on while displaying historical data, is the pattern of guided worlds. The Tellurians, the Navoxi, the Gathri, all once independent, all now effectively controlled by council powers. She paused, letting the implications sink in. Then her voice softened. Distinguished representatives, humanity does not reject galactic community. We embrace it. But we ask a simple question. Olivia looked around the chamber slowly, making eye contact with as many delegates as possible. If the purpose of this council is truly the advancement and protection of all sentient life, why does its practice so often contradict its principles? The chamber fell completely silent. No whispers, no movements. Even the environmental systems seemed to quiet. In that perfect stillness, Olivia finished simply, "Earth awaits your answer." She stepped back from the podium, the echo of her words still hanging in the air. Not a single delegate spoke. The silence lasted only moments, but it felt eternal. Then, chaos erupted. "The human speaks falsehood," bellowed the Arcturian Supreme Counselor, metallic skin flashing with anger. A Malorian representative rose immediately. "If there are falsehoods, they are the Arcturian promises of fair resource allocation. We have records of their private water extraction plans." Accusations flew across the chamber as centuries of carefully concealed grievances suddenly found voice. The assembly, normally a model of cosmic decorum, dissolved into factional shouting. Olivia returned to her team, maintaining a calm expression despite her racing heart. "What have you done?" whispered Krell, his skin cycling through colors of shock and worry. "I think the term is speaking truth to power," Denise said with undisguised satisfaction. Alan's eyes were wide. "The Zenith delegates are sharing data packets with the outer tier species. They're verifying your claims." The uproar continued for nearly an hour. Smaller species formed impromptu coalitions, demanding verification of council records. Others called for emergency reviews of past decisions regarding developing worlds. Finally, a delegation of middle-tier species approached the human section. Their spokesperson, a graceful avian being, addressed Olivia directly. "The Collective of Free Systems requests private consultation with Earth representatives," she said, her feathers rippling with what might have been respect. Over the next 12 hours, Olivia and her team met with 17 different species. Some came with threats, others with offers of alliance. The Arcturians demanded Earth's immediate quarantine. The Malorians proposed exclusive trade agreements if Earth would support their council initiatives. "They're treating us like players now, not pawns," Alan observed during a brief break. Olivia nodded. The power structure was already fragile. It just needed someone to point out the contradictions. News reached them that emergency sessions were being held throughout the station. 3 smaller civilizations had formally withdrawn from council oversight, citing the charter provisions Olivia had referenced. On the second day, an unexpected visitor arrived at their quarters, the Supreme Counselor himself. The massive Arcturian entered alone, his metallic form seeming less imposing than before. "Your speech was problematic," Vex stated without preamble. "Truth often is," Olivia replied simply. "You understand nothing of galactic politics. The Council maintains order across thousands of worlds." "Through selective enforcement of your own rules," Olivia countered. "That's not order. It's control." The Arcturian was silent for a moment. "What does Earth want?" "Equal standing. Fair treatment. Our sovereignty respected." "Impossible. You are too young a species, yet old enough to recognize injustice," Olivia said, "and apparently brave enough to name it when older species would not." 3 more days of intense negotiations followed. The full assembly reconvened with a dramatically different atmosphere. Smaller coalitions had formed, with Earth at the center of one comprising 15 moderate species. The Arcturian Dominion attempted to force a military solution, dispatching warships toward Earth. They were intercepted by a surprising alliance of previously neutral powers who now saw the value in challenging the old order. By the 7th day, a provisional agreement emerged. The tier system would be reformed. Earth would receive full member status, with protections against resource exploitation. In exchange, humans would share their unique cultural and artistic achievements, areas where Earth surprisingly excelled beyond many technically advanced civilizations. As Olivia prepared to return home, Krell approached her one final time. "The Viridians request consideration for the new Earth Alliance," he said, his posture more equal than servile. "We have skills to offer beyond mere facilitation." Olivia smiled. I think that can be arranged. Every voice deserves to be heard. Their departure from the station was markedly different from their arrival. Honor guards from multiple species lined the docking bay. The newly formed Council Transition Committee provided an escort vessel. As Earth came into view after their journey, Olivia gazed at the blue planet with new eyes. "What do we tell them?" asked Alan. "How do we explain everything that's changed?" Olivia watched as the first light of dawn broke over the curve of her home world. "We tell them the truth," she said simply. "The universe is larger, more complex, and more dangerous than we imagined. But humanity has found its voice among the stars." "And they listened," Denise added quietly. "No," Olivia corrected with a smile. "They heard us. The listening part is just beginning." The vessel began its descent toward a world forever changed by one human reply that silenced the Galactic Council.